Hello and welcome back to another installment of Trial Watch with Demetra. We are covering the Georgia versus Leilani Simon case. And tomorrow is going to be the day that we actually start the trial watch, starting with day one opening statements. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe if you like what you see. This is an episode today where we're going to take a closer look at some documents. There is a playlist of the Trial Watch with Demetra segments that you can find on my channel. And there is a timeline there for you to check out. During the course of that timeline episode, I spoke of some different legal documents that had been filed before the trial started. Even, quite honestly, some legal documents that had been filed before Quentin Simon came up missing on October 5th, 2022, later to be discovered deceased, allegedly at the hands of his mother, Leilani Simon. This took place in Georgia back in 2022. The trial started this last Monday, October 14th. It has been covered by Court TV and nationally. One moment, please, and we will start this content. One moment. Let me do a couple of things here. Let me take care of this. Thank you guys for joining me. Please hit the like. Let me I hope you guys are having a great Sunday, had a great weekend, and are looking forward to the upcoming new week. Okay, I got some things in my backstage taken care of. And we can get started. We can get started. Let me cut this down. All right, so on the timeline that I presented to you guys a couple of days ago of events in this unfortunate happening, we found out that the family dynamic and the situations and circumstances going on in the Simon household was problematic, even before little Quentin came up missing. Okay, so I wanted to look at those documents. On the timeline, we found out that as far back as September 7th, a month or so before Quentin's disappearance and demise, that the cops, for one, we found out the cops had been called to a domestic disturbance there in the household. The household consisted of the defendant, the accused, Leilani Simon. In that house, her mother's house, Billy Joe Howell. Well, let me start there. In the home, the dynamics in the home. First of all, the home belonged to Billy Joe Howell and her boyfriend / husband that hadn't been determined yet. I've been looking it up, but we know for a fact that in the home was the grandmother of Quentin. That's who's on the picture right there. Her name is Billy Joe Howell. It was her home, her husband's home. We found out during the timeline content I did that Billy Joe Howell, the granny, actually had custody, legal custody of little Quentin and his big brother, 3-year-old Zane. The defendant, Leilani Simon, did not have custody of those two children. We found out, what we know so far is that Leilani, along with her boyfriend, Daniel Youngkin, came to stay and was living in Billy Joe Howell's home. So it was a number of people in the residence. It was Billy Joe, the mother, the grandmother of Quentin, her husband, Leilani Simon, the defendant, her boyfriend, Danny Youngkin, Leilani's 3 children, Zane, Sky, and little Quentin, and Leilani's brother, Paul. All lived in this residence. Quentin was reported missing on October 5th, 2022. On September 7th, 2022, the police was called out. I have that police report. That's one of the first documents I definitely wanted to take a closer look at, and the reason for this live today. So let's get started with that. Let me bring it up. Let's take a really close look at what was going on in this household a month before Quentin's disappearance and demise. Let me open this up. All right. So what's on the screen there before you guys is the Chatham County Police Department Family Violence Report. This family violence report. Let me see. Is dated for September 7th, 2022. Hey, Winter, thanks for joining. The time was 15:50. That's 3:50 p.m. September 7th, 2022 at 535 Bocato Road. That is the home, the residence that little Quentin came up missing from. Okay. The name of the person that called the cops and filed this report is Billy Joe Howell. We know now that is Leilani Simon, the accused, the defendant's mother. Billy Joe is the mother. They give her age. She's 45, white female, and her personal description. So it says here, total number arrested. No one was arrested apparently. 0. Were children involved? According to this police report, no. Number of previous complaints as advised by the victim. They checked unknown. Existed of prior court orders. They checked unknown. Was victim advised of available remedies and services? They checked yes. And so the next portion of this police report that was filed by, let me make it a little bit bigger. Okay. The next portion here on this police report dating from September 7th. A month before, almost a month to the date, before Quentin became missing. It says type of extent of alleged abuse by the primary aggressor. And out of a lot of different options such as fatal injury, permanent physical disability, temporary disability, broken bones, gun/knife wounds, superficial injuries, property damage / theft, threats, abuse of language, sexual abuse, and number 11, other. What was filled out and selected was number 9, abusive language, and number 11, other. Okay. Number 7 on this police report says police action taken. The options that was available for police actions taken was 1, arrest, 2, citation, 3, separation, 4, mediation, 5, other, 6, none. The officers put number 3, separation. So no arrest was made, no tickets was written. I guess they had somebody leave. We shall see when we read the actual notes. It says, if no arrest made, why not? The options, number 1, juvenile. Number 2, primary aggressor was not at the scene. Number 3, insufficient probable cause. And number 4 option. Hey, Sparkle, Lady Sparkle. Thank you for joining. Number 4, other reasons. So, If no arrest, why not? They selected here other reasons. How was the primary, number 8, how was the primary aggressor identified? 1, physical evidence. 2, testimonial evidence. 3, other. They selected testimonial. So they took the statement. Number 9 on this police report says, did investigations indicate that substance abuse was involved? Now this is interesting. If yes, indicate substances used by primary aggressor and our victim. Now the options on here was 1, drugs, 2, alcohol, 3, drugs, 4, alcohol. And none of those boxes was picked. None of them. Okay? So they saying this had nothing to do with drugs and alcohol. However, when we start the trial watch tomorrow, it's a lot of drug use. It's a lot of alcohol. So that's really interesting to me. Right? So it says relation of primary aggressor to victims. The relationship of the primary aggressor to victims. 1, the present spouse. 2, former spouse. 3, parent. 4, child. 5, step parent. 6, step child. 7, foster parent. 8, foster child. 9, none of the above but lives in the same household or formerly lived in the household. Or 10, parents of the same child. Or unknown. They selected 3, parent. So let's get into the actual report. This is what was the notes. On Wednesday, September 7, 2022, at approximately 1600 hours, I responded to a call for a domestic dispute at 535 Bocota Road. Upon my arrival, I made contact with the complainant, identified as Leilani Simon. That's interesting. So the person who actually called for the disturbance was the defendant, Leilani Simon. The defendant. Okay. Leilani said her and her mother had an altercation regarding some clothes that was in the wash. Leilani said she removed her clothes so that her mother could use the washer. Leilani said they had a disagreement verbally about how things were, and she said her mother got in her face and shoved her. Leilani said she hit a wall and felt that her elbow was red from the wall. Leilani said her 2 kids were around and said she called to put a stop to the issues between her and her mom, as she said she did not want her kids around that. Okay. Leilani's elbow was red, however, there was no signs of bruising. I made contact with the mother, identified as Billy Howell. Ms. Howell said she was having issues with her daughter, as she said she wanted to use her washer and it was still in use. Ms. Howell said she was frustrated as she takes care of the household and pays all of the bills. Ms. Howell said her daughter lives there, 2 kids, and the daughter's boyfriend. Now, at this time, it was 2 kids. The baby, the daughter wasn't born yet. Okay. So let me read that again. Ms. Howell said her daughter lives there, 2 kids, and the daughter's boyfriend. Ms. Howell said she got in an argument with her daughter, Leilani, and said after her daughter screamed at the top of her lungs in her face, she shoved her. Leilani said she was on probation and did not want the conflict to escalate, and said that's why she called. Leilani said she did not want her mother to face charges. Leilani was advised she could go to the courthouse and attempt to get warrants taken out if she wished. Leilani said she understood. Miss Howell's son came to pick her up to remove her from the situation. Miss Howell agreed to separate from the situation for some time to avoid conflict. Miss Howell said she may have to evict them. Miss Howell's son advised that his mother was tired, as he said the daughter has a history of stealing from her mother and buying drugs with that money, and says the problem goes back very far. Miss Howell left the scene with her son for at least a few days. End of report. BWC activated. And so this report was done by reporting officer Matthew Uhas, approving officer Brett Eskridge. Let's see. Persons detailed: Billy Joe and Leilani Marie Simon. At the time, Leilani Marie Simon was 22. And this, again, the reason why this is important is of consequence in this trial that we're going to start tomorrow here on Trial Watch with Demetra, is because this report was dated for September 7th, 2022. Almost a month to the day, almost, before little Quentin was reported missing, and we will soon learn what we know now. A month to almost the date of his demise. Okay, this is what was going on in the household. This is the atmosphere in this household. A couple of things were very interesting to me before moving on to the next document. What's very interesting to me is the fact that Leilani literally called the police on her mom when she is staying there at the house with her mom. Not only is Leilani staying there, but Leilani's staying there. She got her boyfriend, Daniel Youngkin, staying there. She got her 2 boys staying there. Even though that's kind of questionable because if Billie Howell, the mother, the grandmother, I should say, in this case, is actually in custody of the 2 boys, wouldn't they actually be staying there? So the only folks that was actually staying there visiting temporarily, I would think, would be Leilani and her boyfriend, Daniel Youngkin. Let me go ahead and put this picture up real quickly. Let's look at this picture. So, on the picture, who we see there is Leilani, her boyfriend, Daniel, called Danny Youngkin, and the baby that Daniel is holding is little Quentin, the victim of this case. As you can tell there, Leilani is pregnant. She's pregnant at that time with the little girl, Sky, the only actual biological child of Danny, her boyfriend. The other 2 kids, including the victim Quentin, they're not Daniel's children. So these are the 2 being referred to in the police report as being the temporary stayers there at the home, the household. All right. Let's move on. So this happened September 7th. Nobody was arrested. Billie Joe, the mother, the grandmother, she leaves her own home in order to avoid conflict. She leaves, okay, for a few days. But before she left and before the cops left, she tells the police and she lets them know, we may have to evict. I may have to evict these 2. Okay, so let's move on. The next document we want to take a closer look at. This document was the next day, September 8th. The very next day after the police came out. The very next day after that police report I just read was filed. Well, the document we have here now is an actual dispossessory warrant. In layman's term, eviction papers. Okay? To make it real cut and dry, eviction papers. The next day, Billie Joe Howell, the grandmother to Quentin, she made her mind up that this wasn't going to work out having Leilani and her boyfriend staying there. She went to the magistrate court of Chatham County the very next day and filed this eviction. As you can see here, it says the case number. It says Billie Joe Howell there in Savannah versus, make it a little bit bigger for you guys. So it says, personally appeared Billie Joe Howell, the plaintiff, who upon oath says that he or she is the owner of the subject premises indicated above, and that the defendant is in possession as tenant of said premises in Chatham County. Affiant declares under the penalty of perjury that the defendant is, and they check the is box, plaintiff is unable to determine if the defendant is a member of the armed forces of the United States on active duty. This affidavit is executed pursuant to the Soldiers and Sailors Civil Relief Act 50 U.S.C. App A 520, as required before any judgment in default may be entered by the court. Okay? So, it says here, what's checked off on this eviction notice? When you see the little part here, right here, what's checked on this eviction notice, it says, affiant further states on earth, 1, that said tenant fails to pay rent now due thereon. 2, that said tenant is holding said premises over and beyond the term for which the same were rented or leased. 3, that said tenant is a tenant at sufferance, tenant at will. 4, that said tenant has violated the terms of the lease by not looking to be compensated. Just want them, it says that said tenant has violated the terms of the lease. Now, it goes on, hey, Diamond Forever, it goes on to say, not looking to be compensated. Just want them to move out as quickly as possible. My daughter, 22 years old, that's Leilani, the defendant, with her boyfriend and 3 kids. They have damaged my property, and at this point, no one is living in peace. The legalese continues with the plaintiff desires and has demanded possession of said premises, and the same has been refused by said defendant. This affidavit is made seeking that a warrant shall issue for the removal of said defendant together with defendant's property from said premises. At the bottom here, before concluding this eviction notice, okay, it says, wherefore plaintiff demands A, possession of the premises, B, past due rent of $0 plus $74.60 as court fees, C, rent accruing up to the date of judgment or vacancy. And it's signed by the plaintiff, Billy Joe Howell. Again, welcome to the live. We're taking a closer look at some important documentation, legal documents and proceedings that was happening before baby Quentin was reported missing. Before baby's Quentin demise. A month before, all this turmoil was going on inside that home. No peace. The police then got called out. The grandmother had to leave her own residence. The grandmother then went to the magistrate office, filed this eviction. And it states clearly right there in this eviction I just read, she didn't want any money. All she wanted was some peace in the house. She just wanted them out. Now, during my research, well, let me not go too fast. On the screen here is the grandmother and Quentin. To the right is Leilani. Hey, Kurt Vixen, I'll defend it. This trial watch actually starts tomorrow. Or maybe tonight. But the trial watch actually starts tomorrow. I'm trying my best to fill in the gap before we start the trial, so we can actually have more information this time, more background, more of the players, so we can know them more. And we can really be into the goings on with this trial. So, let me take this picture down. Thank you guys for joining. Let me take this picture down. So, we just saw the police report. We just saw the eviction notice. September 7th, September 8th. What followed right behind these two actions, okay, is something else of importance here. that may speak to the state of mind of the defendant. Somewhere between the time of September 8th, when the grandmother went to the magistrate and filed that eviction, the grandmother also filed for child support. Okay? So what you see now on this legal document, and it says, now mind you, the date that this was actually served to Leilani, the mother, the defendant, was October 5th, 2022. What we have here on the screen is a default order for paternity and child support. Now, what's happening is, it says Georgia Department of Human Services, as it relates to Quentin Simon, our victim, and Zane Warden, his three-year-old brother, big brother, versus Leilani Simon. It's your standard default order for paternity testing and child support for both of the kids. And it's requesting that Leilani Simon is ordered to pay child support to her mother, to the children's grandmother, Billy Joe Howell. That's what you're seeing here. That's what was going on. One thing of significance here is number 4. You know, it's all a bunch of legalese. Number 4, it says defendant shall pay $150 per month as current child support for 2 children starting on November 1st, 2022. Child support has been determined for 2 children in this case. Now, all these things are happening back to back to back to back to back. All these things happened a month before and up to the day of little Quentin's disappearance. All of this, for me, myself, you know, it plays a part. Not as an excuse for Leilani, who's being charged with the unaliving of her 20-month-old son. But it gives a very clear picture of the state of you know, the atmosphere in that household, of the tension in that household. You know, you got 2 people whose presence in the home is unwanted. You got the cops being called out. You got them being evicted. And now, faced with, on top of the eviction, on top of the domestic problems with her mother, Leilani, the defendant in this case, has also been hit with child support. You put all of these layers on top of what we're going to find out when we start this trial watch. We're going to hear a lot about drug use. Cocaine, Percocets, marijuana, alcohol. When we start watching this trial, we're going to hear a whole lot about the state of the mental state and well-being, the priorities that seemingly Leilani had. Namely, with Danny, her current boyfriend at the time. That's on the screen now. The picture's on the screen now. Now, the last thing I want to do here as far as the documentation, I want to go over real quickly. Definitely he was a cutie, right? Speaking of Quentin Simon, 20-month-old. Let me show you one more document here. Let me show you guys one more piece of legal documents here that I want to go over. Okay. So what's up in front of you guys now is the actual indictment. Okay. The indictment in this case, the state of Georgia versus Leilani Marie Simon. This indictment was filed the 14th of December 2022. The indictment included 19 separate charges. At the time when this trial started this past Monday, the 14th, October 14th, 2024, she is facing all 19 charges. None of the charges named in this indictment was dropped. None. Count number 1 that she's facing and was indicted for: murder and concealing the death of another. Count 1, malice murder. In the name of and on behalf of the citizens in the state of Georgia, charge and accuse Leilani Marie Simon with the offense malice murder. For that, the said Leilani Marie Simon in the county of Chatham and state of Georgia on or about the 5th day of October 22 did unlawfully, with malice afterthought, cause the death of her son Quentin Simon, a human being, in a manner unknown to the grand jury at this time. That's charge 1, count 1. Count 2, felony murder. And the jurors aforesaid in the name of and on behalf of the citizens of the state of Georgia further charge and accuse Leilani Marie Simon with the offense of felony murder. For that, the said Leilani Marie Simon in the county, in the county of Chatham and state of Georgia on about the 5th day of October 22, did commit the offense of aggravated assault, a felony, and that the accused did make an assault upon the person of her son, Quentin Simon, with an object that when used offensively against the person did result in serious bodily injury. The nature of the object being unknown to the grand jury at this time. And the accused did, in the commission of this offense, cause Quentin's death. That's count 2. Felony murder. And this is when we find out that the state is of the belief that little Quentin, our victim here, had been assaulted with some type of object that caused his demise, that caused his passing. Count 3, felony murder. And all of these counts is what she's facing. She's facing all of these counts as we live, breathe, and speak. That's what she's on trial for. In the time that passes December 14th of 2022 until right now, current date, October 2024, they did not drop any of these counts. She's in court right now facing all 19 counts. Diamond says, I'd like to see how she explains her story with 20 charges against her. Oh, you will see. We will see. We will see. In this trial watch, I'm just letting you know in advance, it's a lot of footage, a lot of interviews. We will hear a lot from the defendant, Leilani. Count 4. No. Count 3, felony murder. Thank you guys for joining. Up top, please hit the like. Trial Watch with Demetra. Thank you for joining. Count 3, felony murder. And the jurors therefore said in the name of and on behalf of the citizens of the state of Georgia further charge and accuse Leilani Marie Simon with the offense of felony murder. For that, the said Leilani Marie Simon in the county of Chatham and the state of Georgia on or about the 5th day of October 2022 did commit the offense of cruelty. Hey, for soldier, happy Sunday. Cruelty to a child in the first degree in violation of OCGA 16-5-70, and that the accused did maliciously cause her son, Quentin Simon, a human being and a child under the age of 18 years, 20 months to be exact, cruel and excessive physical pain in a manner unknown to the grand jury at this time. Count 4, concealing the death of another. Let's not forget little Quentin. It was a month-long search. How many people? I think, I don't want to be quoted wrong, but I know over 400. Okay, in excess of 400 people looking in that landfill for over 30 days, going through 1,200 pounds of trash at that landfill in order to successfully uncover little Quentin's body. Count 4, concealing the death of another. And the jurors, aforesaid in the name of and on behalf of the citizens of the state of Georgia, further charge and accuse Leilani Marie Simon with the offense of concealing death of another. For that the said Leilani Marie Simon in the county of Chatham, on or about the 5th day of October 22nd, October 5th, 2022, did unlawfully conceal the death of her son, Quentin Simon, by discarding him in a dumpster at Azalea Mobile Home Plaza, which hindered the discovery of whether Quentin was unlawfully killed. Now, starting with count 5, and it goes on from count 5 through count 19. The rest of these counts from 5 to 19 are all false reports, false statement charges. And so, Diamond, when you say, I'd like to see how she explains her story with 20 charges against her, 19, as she was explaining her story, that's how she racked up, that was how many? 14, 15 more charges. False report of a crime. Making a false statement. Come on. Where's page 5? It's not coming up. Page 5 not coming up for some strange reason. However, let me see if I type it in. Yeah, it's not coming up. But what I can tell you guys and assure you guys of is that the next charges from number 5 until 19, they're all regarding indictments for false statements. False statements, false information. And I keep repeating this because I think it's kind of important, that between December 14th of 2022, when they filed this indictment and charged the defendant with this indictment, these charges, they have not dropped not one single charge. They pressed forward with the trial with all 19 charges. Okay? Let me close this out. So that's some of the legal documents here that I wanted to make sure that because they were all of these 4 documents were mentioned in the timeline content that I posted. You can find that on the playlist, Trial Watch with Demetra. You can definitely find that content and all contents in and regarding this trial, Georgia versus Leilani Simon, will be on that playlist. I think I want to... No. I'm going to make that a different live. I think I may be back this evening. I want to watch Ronnie Q do her centerpiece challenge. And after that, I do believe I'll be back on this evening so we can get opening statements done. And that way tomorrow we'll start with the first witness. I'll be coming on in the evening. Okay, so this was just something really quick. I wanted to definitely get this content out. I wanted to make it a part of the playlist. And we're going to just stay tuned and be watching for y'all notifications as we do this trial watch. State of Georgia versus Leilani Simon. Okay. One update real quickly with the Quentin Nixon trial that we have been watching. State of Ohio versus Quentin Nixon. That child is on, is being continued. And it doesn't take up again the state of Ohio versus Quentin Nixon the trial we had just been covering, it does not resume again until November 5th. Okay, so that's when we're going to be back on to that case with Quentin Nixon there in Ohio. November 5th, that trial begins again. The trial, I've been trying to do my research on that, and the only explanation I can get regarding why the trial has been halted until November 5th is they're saying because of evidentiary, and that's the words they use, evidentiary issues. And I keep looking to see if I can find something else, and I haven't yet. If more news or more updates come out, I will keep you guys informed. Okay, Diamond, what do you mean? What's today? Oh yeah. Ronnie Q's event is today at 5 p.m. I'm not certain whether that's 5 p.m. Central or Eastern or what have you, but I did post the flyer on my wall. And of course, when I go over to support her challenge, I'll definitely share it to you guys. Okay. So I want to make sure I got this done. I appreciate you guys. I'm kind of really thinking that I want to come back tonight and do opening statements. And that way tomorrow we'll start with the first witness in the case. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get off of here. Thank you guys for your guys' support. And I shall see y'all out here on these YouTube blocks. Please hit the like if you hadn't done so yet. For those in on the replay action, thank you.